Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Tonight we speaking on the two sessions with our Secretary of Defense and the FBI. The Director of the FBI. That's Secretary, Director of the FBI, right? These hearings really expose something bigger than partisan fighting all the time, all the time. What we watched was not just Democrats attacking Republicans. Wait a minute, hold on. This thing moved out of the way. Get over there. Get over there. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. What we saw, what we watched today was some clown activity. Clown activity today, not just by Republicans, but we saw it from all aspects of these hearings. And it wasn't a loud public spectacle for cable television. What we watched was our country struggling to trust the people who are running the most powerful institutions. Because whether you're watching the FBA hearing with Cash Patel or Pete Hegseth, the same question kept surfacing over and over again. Are the adults still in control? That's the real fear underneath all of this. Americans are watching the people responsible for federal law enforcement, military strategy, and intelligence coordination behave like political combatants instead of institutional stabilizers. And that's become terrifying when our stakes are high like this. We have war, terrorism, global shipping, oil prices, domestic security, and public trust in the justice system itself is probably at an all-time low. I don't know. Because once the public starts questioning the competence, honesty, judgment, or emotional stability of the people running these institutions, confidence begins to collapse everywhere in all forms of this government. Every investigation becomes political. Every military action becomes suspicious. And every intelligence assessment becomes disputed. Every hearing becomes warfare. What the hell is going on with these people that we have in charge of our country? And instead of restoring confidence, these hearings are producing the exact opposite. We are looking at chaos in real time. More chaos, more distrust, more incompetent performance, more confrontation. I don't understand why you would think that confronting our congressmen, our senators in a combative style would make you appear more competent or trustworthy. I don't understand why the people that are in charge of our country think that is the direction in which they are supposed to go. Tonight, these meetings matter. These hearings matter. Not because of insult, but not because of one senator, not because of viral moment, but because both of these hearings, Hegseth and Patels, expose the same growing crisis that we have in this United States. People no longer trust this administration. And once the nation loses trust in the people that are supposed to run it, the entire system is going to break down. It's starting to break down. I don't know about anybody else, but this is wild. Now, this was the most wildest thing I ever heard. I don't understand what's going on with Hegseth. What's going on?
Our NATO allies have delivered. They have allowed overflight. They have allowed projection of force despite not being consulted. You said just a few moments ago, Mr. Secretary, we control the strait. But it's clear that reopening the Strait of Hormuz for commercial traffic eludes us, in no small part because Iran retains a robust stockpile of cheap, lethal Shahed drones, and they are getting help from our adversaries.
You hear that? They are getting help from our adversaries. Iran is getting help from our enemies. The fear of this kind of exchange between Senator Coons and Peter Hegseth is wild. Because underneath all of these politics, all the talking points, all the partisan fighting, Coons is asking one simple question. Do we have control of this situation or not? That's the real tension. That's the real exchange. That's the real question people need to be asking. And I ask it every day. If we are so in control of this situation, we done destroyed this, we done destroyed that, we done got rid of this, we done got rid of that, why y'all can't open up the Strait of Hormuz? And it's a question that Pete Hegseth cannot answer. Because when Coons keeps pressing Hegseth about the strait, about the escalation, about the oil flow, about the military positioning, about what happens next, what he's really trying to expose the uncertainty in this administration, the lying in this administration, the bullshit in this administration. And that uncertainty is terrifying for people who are paying attention, specifically me.
In rebuilding them, what is your plan for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, Mr. Secretary?
I would just note that the majority of your question was highly disingenuous and loaded with suggestions that I very much don't agree with. From the beginning,
please feel free, sir, to pick any one of those.
From the beginning, we've been very clear about the military objectives and the underlying strategic objective, which is preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
Yes.
Take, for example, the fact that Iranians' conventional Navy, they had aircraft carriers with Shahed drones on them before this started. They had full-on destroyers and battleship capabilities, none of which they have anymore. And
did the Iranian Navy have aircraft carriers?
Iranian Navy had 3 drone aircraft carriers. The Iranian Navy had 11
launch
submarines.
Platforms for drones. Sure.
They had 11 submarines.
And you've
they
sunk all of the regular Navy. Great. Good.
They retain fast boat capabilities, which they've always had. We understand that, which we can control for and will. We've degraded almost completely their defense industrial base capabilities. The idea that they control anything, you can terrorize something, you can hold it at issue with piracy, as I've talked about at the Pentagon podium time and time again. That doesn't mean you control it. We control what goes in and out, and we control whether or not we have to restart conflict. The president does as well.
Mr. Secretary,
we're the ones that will manage where this goes in the future, and they have very limited ability to set the tempo or respond to it, and that gives the president a lot of options to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon.
The connection between their ability to close the Strait of Hormuz using fast boats and Shahed drones and our strategic goal, shared broadly, to prevent them from ever having a usable nuclear weapon is utterly unclear to me. And my question was, what's the plan for reopening the Strait of Hormuz to commercial traffic, given
shared broadly but never
prices?
Executed. Shared broadly but never executed because previous administration didn't have the willingness to actually do what it would take. And when Iran was at its weakest moments following the 12-day war, but still wanted the pursuit of a nuclear capability, President Trump made the courageous decision to go at their conventional umbrella and shield, which they were using to protect their nuclear program, which we knew came with threats and branches and sequels.
My concern, Mr. Secretary, is that you've achieved a series of tactical successes, but are on the verge of a strategic loss, because we are now negotiating.
Just think it's so foolish. Here we are in a committee in the United States Senate, 74 days in, and you're talking about strategic loss. We have the ability to defeat a 47-year threat of a pursuit of a nuclear weapon. We have more leverage than we've ever had. We've had incredible battlefield successes, and you're talking about a strategic loss?
Mr. Secretary,
disingenuous questions.
Mr. Secretary,
this is how you undercut efforts that could otherwise and are otherwise
I am not your
effective.
enemy, sir. I am not your adversary. I share your goal of preventing Iran from ever having a usable nuclear weapon. To finish my sentence, control of the Strait of Hormuz, the ability to degrade our partners and allies' gas and oil production capabilities through cheap drones, the ability to harass and harry commercial shipping remains in Iran's hands. And their demands are that we recognize sovereignty for them over the Strait of Hormuz, which I believe our president's rejected, you've rejected, I reject. But my question remains, how do we reopen the Strait of Hormuz to commercial shipping? If we control it, how do we reopen it? And your average American is seeing this at the gas pump every single day as the cost of gas continues to rise.
See, now Hegseth keeps projecting confidence, and we can hear that, right? You can hear it in his tone. He wants to project strength and decisiveness and command. And politically, that makes sense because administrations never want to appear weak during an international crisis. I understand that. But Coons keeps dragging the conversation back to operational reality. How do we reopen the strait? If y'all in charge, how do we reopen the strait? That question hangs over this entire exchange. But it's one thing to say we're strong, we control the sea, we control the Strait of Hormuz, we hold all the cards. It's another thing entirely to explain what's happening after this escalation begins. And honestly, that's where the hearing starts getting uncomfortable for everybody, because Hegseth sounds confident strategically, but Coons is talking about consequences, real consequences: global shipping, oil markets, inflation, economic instability, allied confidence, escalation risk. And when Coons starts warning about strategic loss, that's the moment the conversation shifts from politics into geopolitical danger. Because Coons is essentially arguing you can win tactically, but you losing strategically. That's a huge distinction. America can dominate militarily and still create economic shockwaves that hurt ordinary people here at home. That's what Coons is trying to tell Hegseth. And then you hear the frustration building on both their sides. I get all that. Hegseth starts sounding irritated because from his perspective, he's defending American strength while Coons keeps focusing on risk and uncertainty. Meanwhile, Coons sounds frustrated because he feels like he's not getting a direct operational answer to the core question. What is the actual end game here? This is what Coons is trying to get him to say. Coons is trying to get him to admit they don't know what the fuck they doing. And honestly, that frustration matters because millions of Americans, people like me, are asking the same thing right now. Anytime conflict escalates overseas, what's the plan? How long are we going to be there? What happened to gas prices? What if Iran decides they're going to escalate this? What happens if our enemies, like our enemies, are starting to help Iran? When the officials don't give clean answers, because they don't never give clean answers, they don't lie through their teeth. That's why this exchange feels so tense, and it's wrong. Not because two men are arguing back and forth. It's because underneath the argument is a deeper fear that even people leading these operations don't know what the fuck is going on. And that's terrifying. That's a terrifying thing about geopolitical conflict. Everybody always talking like they the big bull. They all selling wolf tickets. You can sell as many wolf tickets as you want. I ain't buying none. He said, I'm not your enemy. That line matters because it cuts through the tribal energy for a second. He's trying to say, look, this is not a personal attack. This is about whether the country is being fully honest with itself about our capabilities overseas. You can win militarily, but you are not winning strategically. That's what that's what Coons is trying to say. We're strong, but we're not in control. Coons is asking, but what if we never become in control? This is wild. But that was the biggest exchange over in that particular scenario. But then we get to Cash Patel. I love Cash Patel with his goofy ass, right? At the same time, we had this collapse with Cash Patel at his hearing, right? Cash Patel's hearing. We get over there.
The new FBI
right?
headquarters.
We get to Cash Patel's hearing because while Hegseth's exchange exposes the fears about military escalation and strategic uncertainty, Patel's hearing exposed something equally dangerous to us Americans. The growing belief that even federal law enforcement itself is becoming emotionally unstable, politically theatrical, and personality driven. And once Americans stop trusting the FBI's neutrality, because you have to be neutral in these particular positions, the consequences become enormous. Every investigation becomes political, tribal, warfare. That's all we're hearing. And this hearing with Cash Patel felt less like oversight and more about institutional combat. So we're not talking about a normal Senate hearing with Cash Patel. Talking about one of the most chaotic, personal, politically explosive FBI hearings we've seen in years. Bar Pam Bondi's hearing. And the reason this hearing matters is because this wasn't just about Hegseth Patel. This hearing exposed the complete collapse of trust between American institution and American people. What you saw was senators openly questioning the competence, behavior, stability, and seriousness of the man who is running the FBI. While Patel tried to fight back like a political street fighter, he didn't come across as a traditional bureau director or exhibit confidence. And whether you support him or not, or you hate him or not, one thing became impossible to ignore, though. This hearing was less oversight, and it was more about us losing faith in our institutions in real time because of the incompetency at the top. Okay? So I want you to notice something when we play these clips. Nobody is trying to lower the temperature anymore. We ain't trying to hear it. We done trying to be nice with you people in this administration. This administration is trying to take us somewhere we ain't willing to go. Most Americans are not willing to go. We're not trying to lower the temperature. Congress ain't, the media ain't, political leadership ain't, not the FBI director himself. Everything is escalation. Everything is confrontation. Everything is humiliation politics. Everything is performance here. And that's the danger when we're talking about the FBI. Make this shit make sense. Here we go.
And making sure that it meets the mission and security requirements of the FBI. And I welcome all the witnesses today as we recognize key members of our American law enforcement family during National Police Week. I look forward to hearing about the various budget requests, but we should acknowledge that we are not gathered here at this hearing at a normal time, because what we are learning about what's happening at the FBI is anything but normal. Director Patel, as you ask for more taxpayer resources, we cannot look away from the credible, extremely troubling reports about your misconduct at the FBI. All four of you hold positions of great public trust. The American people trust that each of you will responsibly exercise your powers to protect them. You're expected to be on call night and day, able to make quick decisions to guard our nation's security. You must always be prepared to answer that call, whether it comes at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. That is your duty. Director Patel, I don't care one bit about your private life, and I don't give a damn about what you do on your own time and your own dime, unless and until it interferes with your public responsibilities. Being the director of the FBI is an awesome responsibility. And when your private actions make it impossible for you to perform your public duties, we have a big problem. You cannot perform those public duties if you're incapacitated. And Director Patel, these reports about your conduct, including reports of your being so drunk and hungover that your staff had to force entry into your home, are extremely alarming. If true, they demonstrate a gross dereliction of your duty and a betrayal of public trust. Regarding the new FBI headquarters.
This is when the hearing officially turns radioactive. Notice that Van Hollen is doing what he's doing here, right? He ain't easing into nothing. He's not gently asking questions. He's not dancing around the rumors. You know how they dance around everything. He ain't trying to hear that. He's directly attacking Patel's competence and stability as the FBI director. And this is one of the most damaging attacks you can level against somebody in that position, because the FBI depends entirely on public trust and institutional confidence, right or wrong. You can survive ideological disagreements. You could survive political attacks. You could survive criticism. But once the public starts to wonder about your leadership, about your instability, your recklessness, your distracted, or whether you're compromised, the institution has already taken on the damage. So that's why Patel is going to react so aggressively, because he understood immediately. Patel understand. That's why he is dancing as fast as he can. This wasn't a political disagreement. This was an abrupt public framing of him as being unfit. And then once Patel hits back with the margarita line, which we're going to get into, the hearing has transformed itself completely. At that point, this stopped sounding like federal oversight and started sounding like two political enemies trying to embarrass each other. And this is what America has become. This is what this administration has drug us into. Every institution now feels infected with cable news energy. Nobody absorbs criticism anymore. Nobody can take criticism. I got to criticize you. You got to criticize me. Everybody escalates immediately. And honestly, people online are cheering this bullshit because politics has become some entertainment bullshit. And the danger is this. When the FBI starts looking like reality TV, public trust is over. Public trust is over. Here we go.
Director Sakata, you hold a position of public trust. Do you agree that you should lead by example and be held to at least the same standard of conduct as you expect of ATF agents?
Yes, sir.
And would you agree that if one of your agents was unable to perform his or her duties because of excessive drinking, you would need to take corrective action or disciplinary measures?
Yes, sir.
Director Seralta, same question for you with respect to the U.S. Marshal Service. Do you agree with the responses from Director Sakata?
Ranking Member Van Hollen, that would be correct. I would do that after a thorough investigation by our internal affairs.
Administrator Cole, same question to you with respect to the DEA.
Yes, sir. I would echo what Rob and Gaddy have said. After a thorough review by our OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, yes, sir.
Director Patel, do you agree with these three gentlemen as
Yes,
the head of the FBI? So you agree, Director Patel, that if one of your agents was unable to perform his or her duties because of excessive drinking, you would need to take corrective or disciplinary action. You agree with that statement?
We would implement the inspection review process, just like these other agencies have their own internal investigations, and complete that review.
As I said in my opening remarks, I really don't care about your personal life so long as you are able to perform your public and official responsibilities, which are awesome responsibilities. Multiple reports, including reporting by The Atlantic, have alleged episodes of excessive drinking, unexplained absences, and behavior that concern current and former FBI and DOJ officials. You have publicly denied those allegations and filed a defamation lawsuit. So today, as you testify before Congress, is it your testimony that those allegations are categorically false?
Unequivocally, categorically false.
So there have been no occasions during your tenure when FBI personnel were unable to promptly reach you?
Absolutely not. You can ask my entire workforce. They hear from me at every single hour of the day, as do these great gentlemen here, as do the men and women of the interagency and state and local law enforcement and the White House.
And so there have been no occasions when your security detail had difficulty waking or locating you, is that right?
Nope, it's a total farce. I don't even know where you get this stuff, but it doesn't make it credible because you say so.
I'm not saying it, Director Patel. It's been written and documented.
You are literally saying it.
No, I'm saying that these are reports, Director Patel.
No,
and
unlike
I
your
will
baseless
say,
reports,
Director
the only person
Patel,
that was slinging margaritas in El Salvador on the taxpayer dollar with a convicted gangbanging rapist was you.
You know,
the only person that ran up a
Director
$7,000 bar tab in Washington, D.C. at the lobby bar was you.
This
so the only
suggests
individual
to
in this
me
room
the
that
allegations
has been drinking
are true.
on taxpayer dime during the day
polygraphing
is you.
Director Patel, come on. These are serious allegations that were made against you. They're in the lawsuit that you filed.
You drinking margaritas with a gangbanger screwing on video.
It just goes to show you
running a $7,000 bar tab at the lobby bar has been filed by your own office.
This goes to show
drink during the day. That's you. This is the ultimate example of hypocrisy.
Mr. Chairman,
I will not be tarnished by baseless allegations
let me
and fraudulent statements from the media.
The fact that you mentioned that indicates you don't know what you are talking about.
Hold on.
Director Sakata, you hold a position of...
This might be the single most important part of this clip, this whole hearing, because now we done moved past allegations into outright humiliation warfare. Van Hollen keeps pressing Patel about drinking allegations. Of course, security concern reports that staff allegedly struggled to locate him. Do you believe that his staff struggled to wake him up? Most people believe that. Most people believe that this is the problem that we have with Cash Patel. Patel completely detonates. Oh, you did it. You did it. You did it. The only person slinging margaritas is you. The only person drinking on taxpayer dime is you. That is not normal FBI hearing language. We are listening to the FBI, head of the FBI, director of the FBI, circle the drain. This is political combat language. Now here's this moment. This is why it matters the most, and it has most entertainment value. America is deeply divided right now on what leadership is supposed to look like. This administration is not showing what leadership is supposed to look like. I'm sorry, it just ain't. One side sees Patel fighting back and says, "Oh, hey, good. Let them senators have it, sir. Yeah, give it back to them." Goofy people who don't love their country would be cheering this kind of garbage on. The other side says the FBI director should not be sounding like giving a Twitter argument and should be fired. And honestly, both reactions tell you exactly how fractured this country is behind this president hiring all these incompetent people. People no longer even agree on what professionalism looks like. This is not what professionalism looks like. Aggression has become authenticity for a lot of you Americans. Performance has become leadership to a lot of y'all. Conflict has become strength. But the concern critics have, people like me have, is should this FBI director feel emotionally combustible? Should he be reacting this way? That's the real issue underneath all this, not the margaritas, not the insults, not the shouting. The concern is whether the head of the FBI should sound this reactive under pressure. You can't control your motherfucking self, Cash Patel. You can't control yourself. You are the director of the FBI. You should have more control than what you're showing right here. This is what I think. I think you're out of control. Because if this is how hearings look publicly, people start to wonder what the hell is going on internally. And once that question happens, I'm sorry, there's bleeding that's finna happen. There's bleeding that's happening in this area, in this FBI director here. Let's listen to the next clip. Let's go. Sorry about that. Go.
You're the one drinking margaritas with felons.
Actually, that's a false statement. And I'm asking you about your statements.
I've answered that.
And I'm asking you about a particular report. And
It's not a
your
report.
testimony is, so let me ask you this. Are you willing to take the test that it's called the audit test that members of our active duty military and others take to determine whether they have a drinking problem?
I'll take any test you're willing to take.
I will take it, Director Patel. I'll take it. You ready to take it?
Let's go.
Yes or no?
Let's go. Side by side.
I'll take it. All right. I think that the fact that you're so have you ordered polygraph tests of members of your team to determine how that story came about?
The FBI conducts polygraph tests all the time.
No. Have you ordered polygraph tests for members of your team to determine who was the source of the stories that I'm asking you about?
I don't order any polygraph tests. There's an internal inspection review process for any and all leaks, especially of baseless information at the FBI, that's been in place for the last 30 years. Those processes are followed by career intelligence and agents on the ground.
So I'll take that as a yes, since you said that these were unauthorized disclosures.
This was the moment when this just went all completely nuts. The director of the FBI, out of control director of the FBI, because let's be
You're
clear.
the one drinking margaritas with felons.
Actually, that's a
Let's be clear. This director is out of control. Let's be clear about that. The director of the FBI is challenging a U.S. senator to a side-by-side alcohol test during a Senate hearing. If that's not out of control, I don't know what is. And you got to be on another planet, on some other level of goofy to think anything else but that. Think about how insane that sentence, think about how insane that is. It happened. Now, politically, Patel supporters love this moment. They love it. They saw confidence. They saw a strong man hitting back. They saw defiance. They saw somebody refusing to back down. But what I saw was something very different. What I saw was a man out of control. I saw volatility. I saw somebody unable to stay disciplined while under scrutiny, while under fire, under criticism. And that's a larger battle happening here in the United States. What counts as strength? For some people, calmness is weakness. For others, restraint is leadership. Patel clearly understands modern political media. He can talk fast. He can tap dance for real. He understands the clips. He understands viral moments. He understands that a lot of American people are tired of politicians speaking in sanitized robotic language. He understands all that. So he leans into confrontation. But again, this becomes dangerous when the FBI itself starts feeling like just another partisan personality operation instead of stabilizing institution. This is supposed to be a stabilizing institution because the FBI is not supposed to be emotional. It's supposed to feel steady, concrete, stoic. And this hearing is anything but unsafe. He is out of control. Here's the next clip. That's wild to me.
Disturbing. Now, Director Patel, I want to ask you about a number of extremely troubling stories recently about your leadership and temperament and what's happened to the FBI with you at the top. And in response to all the concerns about your leadership, instead of righting the ship, you've taken to polygraphing your employees to scare them and attempt to rat out leakers. There are reports that you're using FBI resources to investigate journalists for reporting what's going on, and that is absolutely not what this committee intended when we...
Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys.
Can you commit to this committee today that no agent hours have been pulled from other work like counterterrorism or violent crime investigations to work on matters related to negative press about you or your personal lawsuit?
Senator, I greatly appreciate the question, and I can tell you unequivocally, this FBI is targeting and investigating no journalists. This FBI is targeting no journalists. The Obama and Biden administrations targeted dozens of journalists, sent out 1,200 interviews.
I didn't ask you about the Biden administration. I asked if you can commit to this committee that no agent hours have been pulled from other work.
We have not done so.
Okay, well, there are reports that are using FBI resources to investigate journalists. You are saying to this committee today that that is not true.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, well, let me just say, Director Patel, we need a serious budget, but we also need serious leadership. And I will say this, there's one clear priority in Trump's overall budget, and it isn't law and order, it is war. Because while Trump is proposing cuts to programs that really do keep people safe, he wants to increase war spending by $500 billion. And I don't need to tell anyone here, we are not going to bomb our way to safer communities. So I intend to help rip that budget up and write bills that keep families safe. But beyond that budget, we need serious leadership at the FBI that the American people can trust. And I am deeply concerned about the reports that your leadership has not been serious. We need somebody at this agency who's focused on solving criminal cases, not passing out branded bourbon or jetting around the globe. Your job is to be reachable. And I know Senator Van Hollen asked you about this, but I gotta say, if you want to pass out liquor or pop bottles in a locker room, stick to podcasting, leave law and order to people who really do care about justice and appearances. That is really critical. It's disturbing.
Wow. Okay. See, this is probably one of the most substantive attacks of the entire hearing about Patel. because Patty Murphy wasn't really attacking Patel's ideology. She was attacking the image of seriousness around his leadership that he's not expressing. And honestly, this hit harder because it taps into the larger fear of us Americans, the American political culture, and this influence that he's supposed to have over the United States. She's talking about branded bourbon, locker room celebration, globe trotting, podcast energy, appearances, optics. And then she sticks the knife in at the end. If you want to pass out liquor or pop bottles in a locker room, stick to podcasting. That line was brutal because she was really saying you're behaving like a personality brand instead of the FBI. And yes, he is. And whether people agree or disagree, this is the concern. Americans expect FBI directors to feel serious, controlled, measured, professional, not viral, not performative, not theatrical. Now, Patel's rebuttal was politically smart because he pivoted instantly into statistics, violent offenders, everything. Because Patel understands the oldest rule in politics: results creates protection. If violent crime goes down, supporters forgive almost anything they do. They forgive Donald Trump for all the scamming that he do. So they believe him. What he's basically saying is, you may hate my style, but look at the outcome. And honestly, the argument will absolutely work for a huge portion of you goofies out there. But here's the deeper issue. America no longer trusts these institutions anymore. We don't trust that these are neutral institutions. Donald Trump has made those institutions untrustworthy. Every hearing is tribal. Pam Bondi, Christy Knowles, just across the board, incompetent, unstable. So we have lost trust in those institutions. I'm sorry. We just have. That's why this hearing mattered. No one, not because of one thing, one insult, one senator, one case of margaritas. No, it mattered because this hearing exposed this country where institutions are becoming like personalities. And this public trust is eroded. This is my final clip. Uno momento. This is Patel defending himself.
Mr. Chairman.
Can I respond? This is what real leadership looks like at the FBI. Every one of you was given it. This is what's happened under my tenure at the FBI and the Trump administration. 20-point drop in the homicide rate, 45,000 violent offenders arrested last year, twice as many as 2024, 2,450 criminal gangs disrupted. That's a 322% increase from 2024. 6,900 child victims have been located since I've been in the seat. That's a 144% increase. 2,900 child predators and human traffickers arrested. That's a 70% increase. And we've arrested 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world in 14 months. That's twice as many in the 4 years combined. That is what the men and women of the FBI are doing, well-resourced. Everyone should take a look at this. If people want to continue the baseless, fraudulent, false personal attacks at me, that's great. Keep the target on me, as I've always said, but the mission has never been better.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just respond to those.
Senator Murray.
I appreciate the work of our FBI agents, but leadership, serious leadership, is a concern. And we are seeing the pictures of passing out branded bourbon and what happened at the Olympics, jetting around the globe and all the rest of it. And that, I will say again, Mr. Chairman, is of deep concern to me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So, honestly, this is where Kash Patel's response becomes politically fascinating. Because instead of trying to calm the hearing down, he chose confrontation. He chose combat. The moment Patel starts fighting back with the margarita line, you can see exactly what kind of political figure he intends to be. He's not trying to sound like the traditional image of an FBI director. He's not trying to sound detached and robotic and measured and institutionally neutral. He's trying to sound like a fighter. And for a huge portion of the country, like Black America, I see in the comments, that works for you. That don't work for the majority of Americans. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Because many Americans are tired. Look, we're tired of politicians and officials speaking in the polished language while avoiding this direct confrontation. But Patel is doing it in the wrong way. A lot of y'all say, finally, somebody is fighting back. But what we hear is volatility, instability. We hear ego. We hear somebody too emotionally reactive for the position that requires that discipline and restraint. And that's why this moment is so important, because the argument is no longer just about his drinking allegations. The argument becomes, should this FBI director behave like this publicly under pressure? Somebody asking you a simple question about you drinking and you unravel? There's a deeper issue here. And honestly, Patel understands modern political media perfectly. He's a podcaster. Of course he does. He understands clips, viral moments. He understands all of that. A calm, technical answer would not have gone viral. But the only person slinging margaritas is you. That explodes online instantly. And Pastor Patel understood that. He knows that. So what you're really watching is transformation in how institutional leaders behave politically in America. Years ago, FBI directors tried to project distance from politics. Now, this administration, they don't care. They just want to be a media personality. Aggression gets attention. Conflict gets engagement. Humiliation gets replayed online. And Patel leaned right into that. He's loving this. Now, there's a risk to this too, because once the FBI director starts sounding like a political combatant instead of an institutional stabilizer, we begin to question. I'm questioning your boss. I'm questioning why the fuck did he hire you? That's a dangerous place to be. People have to believe investigations and people who are investigating are serious, neutral, disciplined, professional. I want my person to be upfront. What these hearings start to feel like is emotional, theatrical performances, and I don't have confidence in you like that. So what we just watched was not the response from a traditional FBI director, somebody who wants to project confidence, somebody who wants to project leadership, somebody who wants to project somebody in control. This was somebody who felt like they are a political fighter first and an institutional figure second. And honestly, that's why this moment is exploding online right now. Because Patel did not try to de-escalate anything. He did not try to sound detached. He did not try to sound like the regular FBI agent with calm professionalism. He chose confrontation. And politically, that works to a lot of goofy people like y'all, because some of y'all believe, hey, he giving it to him. Yeah. No, we're in the middle of a fight. We're in the middle of a war. We're in the middle of the worst economic crisis in the United States with the people living in shelters, people living in storage facilities, people not being able to pay their rent. All of this. A lot of Americans are tired of this garbage that we have going on in this country right now. Okay? So when Patel snaps back aggressively, he got supporters that hear strength. But we hear instability, ego, all of that stuff. Okay? The bigger question becomes this. Should the FBI director be out of control like this? Because I think he's out of control. I tell you that you're drunk and you get on here and start attacking me because I called you a drunk and you're an FBI director? The FBI is supposed to project steadiness, control, neutrality, professionalism. Not social media energy, not viral clips, not cable network warfare. This hearing is theatrical. These people are clowns on a stage. And honestly, Patel understands exactly what the hell he's doing. He understands modern politics, media, all that. Everything is branding. Everything is fighting publicity. Once this happens, once we understand that this is going to be a clown show, once people get to accept that this is the clown show, Why I need to watch this anymore? Why do I need to believe anything this administration says? You hire clowns. You hire clowns to represent us. You hire clowns to represent us in the FBI. We have a crisis in our country. We are at war. Every investigation becomes political to y'all. Every hearing is warfare. And this is a dangerous country that we're in. And this is a dangerous time that we're in. It's emotional. It's reactive. It's performative. And people who saw this loved it. But I, on the other hand, it just shows me that the incompetence level is so high that everybody likes a clown. Everybody likes a clown performance. Everybody loves the clown performance. And this is what we got. So, if you guys like my commentary, please hit the like, share, subscribe. Comment in the comment section what you have to say. Please and thank you. And I will be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock for more of the day's clown shit. And I'm HQ. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Please hit the like button, share button, subscribe button. Thank you.